80% of Ghanaians expected full attendance by MPs when Parliament sit. In terms of the expected impact of a hung parliament, 61% thought it will slow down decision making. Another 60% thought it would make MPs connive more on issues that affect them.
I think that it should have given us a very rare, unique opportunity for us to start looking at things from the nationalistic point of view before we descend to how our respective political parties are going to make some political fortune out of it. And that's what leads me to what I said, that we succeeded in reducing the numbers on either side, or if I may put it that way, increasing that of the NDC to 137 and reducing that of the NPP to 137, so that we can strike a balance. But we did not succeed in changing the mindset of our politicians. As we did not succeed in that, we were not going to get anything different from what we had been receiving prior to the 8th Parliament.
When you are a little more informed, you don't easily get excited when you know what the real problem is. And that's why sometimes in Ghana, the idea is that we think that the vote is all that makes up democracy. But there are so many levels to this sophisticated system, and that's why I didn't think that was going to solve the problem. And so I don't know if I'm the best person to tell you that, yes, so the expectation has not even been met to even say that I'm disappointed.
It is no longer possible for the ruling majority in Parliament to treat the minority with contempt. And I have lived through Parliament, and I know what I mean when I say treat the minority with contempt. So, in underscore, this Parliament is unlike any other Parliament. So, my expectation there too has been met. First in the history of this country, that the minority has been able to elect a Speaker of Parliament. It was a given, not so, that a Speaker was always going to come from the ruling government. As a demonstration of the change that we were seeing in this Parliament, the minority were able to galvanize forces to elect a Speaker. Again, my expectation was met, that this Parliament might be different.
My expectation, like his, was that this outcome would signal not just to parliamentarians, but to the executive, that we were faced with a different reality than we've been used to, and that executive-legislative relations would begin to change.
The relationship at the committee level, who becomes a ranking, who becomes a chairman, how do they relate? Are they always at each other's throats? Do they see the larger picture? It's very critical in determining how we can tweak the hung Parliament. And you know as well as I do that probably the executive's strategy is not consensus building, or their consensus building is something else. They know that we want, and they are capable. And so probably that's how they get their business done. Probably. But that clearly is not sustainable. That is not sustainable. But no one must lose sight of the fact that they know, the executive know, that this Parliament is a difficult Parliament.
This is why I think that we are missing a big opportunity with this hung Parliament. I thought we would use this experience to model a different kind of executive-legislative relationship when we have that scenario, where there's one party in control, complete control of Parliament, and another in complete control of the executive. And if at that time we still insist on modeling our relationships between executive and legislature on this basis, on the way we're doing business, the country will grind to a halt. When in other countries presidents have faced legislative paralysis and they think that they cannot suffer that kind of result, some of them have stepped outside of the constitution and ruled by fiat. That's what you're having in Tunisia. That risk is always there. But I think it's clear that this kind of one-party rule, it is certainly not the best model for us going forward. That we must step back and begin to rule more inclusively, make policy more inclusively and in a participatory manner, including, of course, bringing citizens in. My own hunches are that partly some MPs, some parties don't want this one to work. That's my own view. They don't want the hung parliament to work because then they will tell the people, you see, we've told you this cut and blast is not good. So if it works, it might give people an appetite for more.
And then we'll get to that point.
And then we'll get to the divided government, right? And they don't like it. So there are some people who look at what's happening now, the stalemate in some of these, and they're like, what did we tell you? You people think you are wiser than us. We the politicians, we tell you, vote one line, vote party line, you go and do skirt and blast. You see what you are getting. Nothing is happening. I don't think that the expectations or the preferences of politicians will always dominate. I think the people, to the extent that they remain dissatisfied, we are going to see more of this, right? And I think we should use this moment to prepare ourselves for that moment when it does come. If the president wants to invite the minority leader and the minority chief whip or minority whip and all of the other people to Jubilee House to sit and haggle about a policy before it comes to parliament, nothing in the constitution stops him from doing it. These are things that can be done within this constitution, right? So not doing it is really just a failure of statesmanship as well, in my view. And that we should seriously begin to take this moment a lot more seriously than we are.
It leads me to the question I posed earlier, that what is the mindset? When you look at it at the macro level, political party as against political party, the thing is not so much about how we are going to govern, but it's about how I can get this man or this political party in power look so bad that I can get a chance to come. So long as that is the thinking, you realize that even when in reality they know that this is a good policy, that frustration would come in. And that's why when we have change of posts, things that we probably in government would say is nice, we get outside, it's being implemented by our opponent and we say it is not nice. In much the same way, it goes that way. You remember very well that when E-Levy came, I think the minority leader, Harun Idrisu, had some kind of education somehow. So he changed his position and his party was up in arms against him. And he quickly had a U-turn.
The hung parliament is showing us that people are no longer just come for a funeral service anymore. Because people are actually now beginning to talk. And Ghana has over 50% of Ghanaian population are young people, the youth. And the youth, there's a huge gap between us and the other generation. To take it to the next step, what can civil society do? We've seen even politics creeping in, even into the church, because we thought that the council of, the Christian council also begin to play a key role, because we need religious bodies, right, to also support the work of religious bodies are also part of the civil society organizations, right? But there has to be some kind of harmonization with how we are working. This hung parliament is given an opportunity. It's actually a chance for all of us to get informed, inform our people. Because your represented, the person in parliament is only as good as the people who voted them in. People's power is not money. The people's power is information. Give them knowledge. And knowledge is not going to school. Knowledge is the truth. So if it's a JAPA deal, if it's the idea of e-levy, what does it mean? What does it mean for us to have lithium as a country? One of the rare minerals in the world. Afghanistan had it. You saw what happened in Afghanistan. What does it mean to be part of ECOWAS, to be part of the AU? Right now, we have a hung parliament in the time where there's a global, if you don't see the global economic shift, you will miss it. So right now, Africa has a chance to position itself agriculturally. There should be a conversation about these things. Let us, first of all, let's begin to engage young people. Because there are many young people who don't have work. And you go into the system and people who are actually with positions, they don't have qualification. They don't know the work. So it's very easy for us to sit here. And not just say we are sitting on the facade. When the facade falls, everybody's going to be shocked. But thank God that this parliament is happening to give everybody a chance to actually sit here and say, you know what? Maybe Ghanaians are really beginning to say that they want different. How can now civil society get up and say, you know what? Let's move from the talking. Now what can we do? And doing is work. Everybody must get their hands dirty.
What I'm very happy about, there are differences. I'm happy that we are talking. That's the most important thing. Trying to arrive at something very creative for the future.
We'll put this in a very quick policy brief so that it can be a connecting reference point for the conversations going ahead. But as we have said, we've been working behind closed doors to engage MPs. We are working on all of these reform issues because we see our window closing for self-correction. And if we don't take advantage of it, we will lose this democracy. So that's the urgency that we are pursuing this with.